So what I'm trying to do is create a garment. This is my first time sewing this together, so we're gonna see how that goes. But let me show y'all what I got so far. First, I want to say that my machine already threaded it with some gold thread, and also I got some black thread as well. Put them on the bottom bobbins just to make sure that when I started sewing I didn't have to worry about any of that type of stuff. So I got 2 gold and 2 black bottom bobbins for my sewing machine. I have this gold leather, but it's soft on this side, and it's, it's wavy, so it's gonna be good because what I'm using it for is to bend it over along the edges of it. So after I bend it over on the edge, I want to put this around the sides just to add a little something. It has letters, and I'm gonna spell out Judah for the back. I think you just iron it on, so I will use this. I got 4 yards of black polyester fabric, and yeah, I might have got more than I needed, but I can always do something more. Also with this, I want to create myself like a shawl that matches the pattern that I'm gonna show you that's in my head to make. But I have already ahead of time cut it out using the shape of another garment that he has. And so what I'm gonna have to do, I haven't done the neck area yet, but I'll have to sew these 2 together to make the front and the back. Then I bought like this rose pattern fabric. I think it was called brocade or something like that. And yes, it's like this. It better not do that when I put it on there. In the front, I'm gonna use this more like a triangle here. Something. I'm gonna figure it out how wide it needs to be. But more like a V, not a triangle. And then it's gonna have this lion on top, which I think it's enough contrast to look okay. If you can keep up with me, hopefully you can keep up with this drawing. This is how I expect it to look. This middle part will be a belt. So the fabric, it kept on fraying. It was terrible. Like, I didn't want it to be like that when I actually put it on the garment. So I decided to get the 2 layers and sew it all into a triangle. And then what I'm gonna do is fold the fabric over so they can tuck in all the frayed loose ends. So I'm folding it over 2 times. So for the leather that's on the top of the back side, what I did was use the pins, and I put both layers together so that when I sew it, it can all be, leveled. But as you can see here, as I sew, the fabric moves, and so then I'm gonna have a whole new layer of fabric to cut off. That was not planned, but it's because the sewing machine was struggling to go through the fabric, and the fabric was moving around as I sewed it. So I thought I was gonna sew it backside up so that the bottom bobbin will look neater than the top bobbin, because that usually happens. But when I did that, it actually made it to where the other side was uneven. I'm not sure how that happened, but because of that I had to cut it off, but it was on the side that everybody would see, so I didn't like that. So instead I had to switch up what I did for the rest of it, like the other side I did. And it was also hard to sew the leather on there because it was just too thick, so I had to like push the fabric through the machine. The machine wasn't moving on its own. When I tried to sew this part, top side of the back, I don't know, I guess things kept moving around a lot, but it was very uneven, so I had to use the thread thing to pull out all the thread and just start over on it, because it would just look too bad. Alright, so how I'm feeling with it overall. Like I said a second ago, it's a little wonky, but you can see what's happening here. So the back side I thought would be easier, so I started with the back. So, here go the top part, and but the wonky part, this is how it lays straight. But for whatever reason, this end folds back, and then this end folds out. Why? I don't think my tension's too tight, but that could be the problem. But I can guarantee you one thing about that. It's an operator problem. It's definitely not the machine, even though the machine's taking a hitting itself, because it literally just sews up and down. It doesn't move. Like, my hands is like pressing down and pulling the fabric forward. The machine said, I'm not doing all of this. You asked too much out of me. But it's okay. This is a teamwork. Like, see how much better the lines are closer to the edge? You see how close the lines are now? And I just gotta cut this part. But you see, it's way closer, it looks more professional. But like here where I messed up, one, my machine was struggling to go through all those layers of leather. So really, if I took the thread out and redid this, it's a good chance it's still gonna look the same because my machine was struggling on this part. So I'm not gonna take that out because it's gonna have minor flaws. But if I try to be a perfectionist, it won't ever get done. So I have to keep pushing. For this, the front of it, I just put the line on. It's not perfect at all, but I'm still proud of myself for how it's looking so far. I love this design, and I thought it would be easy to just sew it on, but the needle barely went through. It didn't want to go through the metal holes at all, so I couldn't sew it down at all. Okay, so my sewing machine has like this weird issue with it. So like the little bar that goes in this hole, I be having to keep putting it in because it'll come out from time to time. So earlier when I had the problem with the middle piece falling off, I was thinking to myself, what if the piece like fell in the middle hole? And yep, I was trying to put it back in hours later that day, today, and yeah, it fell in the hole. So now it fell in that little hole down there. I tried to shake the machine to try to shake it out, but that didn't really work. And now when I shake it, I don't even hear it anymore. But yes, I do know I can open the bottom of the machine with a screwdriver and get it out. I've done that before. when my needle broke, but right now I just don't have the energy to do that. So we taking it back old fashioned. Now I don't, it might be too much here, but I think it looks okay. And yes, see how it rolls in? You can't really see the gold here. It's off of the effort I put into it. And then here's the front. So you can see that. And kind of the same thing, you can't really see it. And then this the piece that when I couldn't sew on, I feel like I would have to hand sew that as well. Woo-wee, don't get me started on this glue right here. It says for fabric, but man, it said make sure you use it in a well-ventilated area. This thing was so strong, like the smell was very strong. It easily can get stuck to your hands. And like I walked out the room and it just, when I came back in the room, it was so strong I could have had a headache. And like even when I had the ceiling fan on and like had the door open to air it out, and I had to take breaks too, still didn't help. So now I have the front and the back done, so now I have to sew them together. And here's the menorah sticker. I did it on my shawl I was telling you about in the beginning of the video. I did on mine first because if I put all that effort into sewing that garment and then accidentally did something wrong, I would be disappointed. I practiced on this one first, got an idea how it worked, and it came out fine. You won't see what the shawl looks like because the letters were crooked. By the time I got to my own shawl, I was tired, so mine didn't turn out the same, as well as I just forgot to take pictures in general. But I still wore it now, don't get me wrong. Ironing it turned out well. It looks gorgeous, but I did melt off some of the metal that was on the design around the sides. Even though I put the little ironing paper on it, it didn't help. But who notices that anyway? It came out great and he loves it. Thanks for watching.